Welcome back to the virtual hangar. Today I'm going to show you how to carve your own stamps and make some gift tags just in time for the holidays. Your kit will include one 2-inch square of carving rubber, two carving tools, one wood stamp mount, a little bottle of crazy glue, 5 gift tags and strings for them, and 1 ink pad. To get started, we're going to need a piece of scratch paper. We are going to trace around the shape of our rubber here so that we know what we're working with. And then I'm going to just outline that line with a pen so that when we take our pencil and eraser, start designing, we don't lose this shape. So there are a lot of ways you can design a monogram, which is what I'm going to do here. You can use a circle as kind of your base. These like arrow things are very trendy. Do something like this, give it a little edge, little point, kind of like our summer camp theme from summer reading. Those are kind of cool, especially if you have 4 people in your family. You can do, for example, this is like my family that's the first letter of our last name, and then something like the first initial of everybody in my family's name. So I would do something like this and maybe center it around the arrows, maybe do the arrow in the gaps or some lines. I actually am going to do this other thing that is our family initials. So if you put them all together, we call us the birds. So I would do from the birds, BRDS, that's my family. And then I just drew a bird to kind of go as the center of that sort of image. So you can make some changes with your pencil. That's just some examples of the kind of flow you can do to make a monogram or a personalized design. I also will include a link to monogram generators if you just want to find one online that you like. And you can see how I thickened the lines. We're going to need that for when we start carving. So this is another monogram I made for me and my husband. I printed it out so it was less than 2 inches across or tall because it needs to fit on our rubber stamp. So you can also find any image online and print it in that same way. So if you take a printed one, you are just going to take your pencil and cover the entire design nice and thick. And then I went ahead and just cut it out with a pair of scissors really fast, close to the design so I could see where it was when I go to lay it on my carving block here. So you can kind of see it through the paper. Go ahead and make sure it's nice and straight. Push it down real firm and don't shift it as you cover the entire back with a good layer of pencil. We're transferring our design onto the rubber the same way we did in that pet portrait a long time ago. And you can see the outline isn't great because the rubber doesn't take it that well from the pressure of the pencil, but it should be well enough that you can go through and make those lines nice and clean and clear with your pencil. Let's look at our carving tools. We've got 2 here. One with the round head is the V shape, and then the one on the left has a U shape. The U shape is going to be for the bigger areas, the background. The V shape is a little sharper. It's going to be used for details and fine lines. So we're going to start carving. It's a good idea to start on the outside. Give yourself a couple practice swipes here, get the feel for it. I love carving stamps. I think it is a super satisfying process. And then start with the outside shape of your drawing here. Thicker lines are obviously going to be a little easier to carve than fine lines like this. But once you get kind of the hang of it on the outside, you can start going towards the middle and get a little braver on the more detailed parts. The harder you push with your cutter, the deeper and wider of a groove you will make. So again, take a couple swipes on the outside. You can see me pushing harder and I get a lot more material here, and then the resulting groove is a little bit thicker. So once you kind of have a good handle on that, you can start really going around from the background. The idea is to carve away anything you don't want in the final design. So that's why the design has to be nice and clear on the carving block before you start carving. And thicker lines, thicker shapes are definitely going to be easier. Again, if you want to find just some, simple holiday, holly sprig or whatever, you can print it out and that will be also totally cool and easy. So I'm switching to the V-shape one here for when I get inside some of these more detailed pieces. And it's the same principle as the U-shape. The harder you push, the deeper and wider the groove will be. So you use the V on the inside, and you always want to start with less pressure than more. You want to use long, smooth strokes instead of short, little strokes. And you'll notice, I almost never leave the table with the rubber. I always leave the rubber on the table, and I kind of rotate the rubber and hold the tool in the same position. Or I sort of rotate my hand with the carving tool and sort of rotate the rubber to make nice, long, smooth strokes. That's going to make your stamp nice and smooth and look professional instead of like a choppy kind of thing, which, can be cool and fun too. A holly leaf is pretty spiky. So we're just going to go ahead and clear out everything that you don't want in your final stamp. And you'll be surprised how sensitive the rubber is to any amount of pressure. You can see I am taking the ink pad here and just doing like kind of a preliminary layer to see how much farther I have to go. You can see I didn't get the inside of the S. You didn't get the EST. We'll see if I get that part done. That's really detailed. I wouldn't go much thinner than the lines that I'm doing on the circle. It is always easier to take away less and then carve more away as you go, rather than say, I'm going to carve away a whole bunch, and then all of a sudden you don't have very much stamp left at all. So start slow, start with less pressure, and don't be afraid to take more as you go. So movie magic, here's my finished stamp. I did go ahead and get that EST. So I am inking my rubber here just to see how it went, and I'm going to do a couple more tests. It looks good to me, but I'm going to do a couple test cuts. That actually looks pretty good. It looks like I need to get a little bit more on the inside of the EST bit. I'm just going to clean off most of that ink with a paper towel, and you can see like the ink, stamp, test it, carve, see where the lines are still showing up. You do have to get pretty deep away from the raised portion to not get any of the background in when you go to stamp because of the pressure of your hand. So I'm just going to take a pair of scissors and cut away the rest of the stamp that I definitely know I don't need in my final stamp, the extra rubber. I did a couple more layers of tests here before my final round, and then I am going to ink the stamp and make sure it's straight and centered on my wood block. Flip it over without shifting it. That's the really hard part, to get it back down on the table without moving it, and push it down really hard on the wood block. And now you have the design on your wood block. So obviously you only want to do that when you're finished with the stamp. But I actually really love how that turned out. So to attach the rubber to the wood mount, go ahead and kind of eyeball it, get the placement. You will probably need, if your stamp is about 2 inches, you'll need the whole little tube of crazy glue. Pour it out quick and place confidently. I had to scoop mine and that didn't really go too well. Go ahead and give it a push with a piece of paper, scrap paper, paper towel, so you don't get ink all over your hand. But there is my finished stamp. I put it again on another piece of scrap paper, put a book on it, let it dry overnight just to make sure the crazy glue really holds. And I like to ink my stamps from the rubber side, putting the ink on the rubber. But let's see how it turned out. On that gift tag, I actually really love it. I'm going to do 1 million of these for the holidays this year. So you can just ink your stamp. Stamp all your gift tags. I actually one year bought blank paper, like a sheet of butcher paper, and stamped all over that and did my presents in that as well. I love how that turned out. I'm so excited. To take your ribbon, you just kind of do a little overhand knot, just like that. Make a loop, stick it through the hole, pull it, and you can see there how the strings get attached to the tags. I'm going to quickly use Movie Magic and get the rest of my tags with their little strings, little twines. You could, of course, swap that out with whatever ribbon you like. And there is my finished stamp and tags. So here is my whole set. Oh, I'm so excited. I think they look great. Let me show you really fast. You can label them to whoever. And if you did a family monogram, you can just do love stamp. I just string it onto a ribbon and then tie this in a big bow. I really, really would absolutely love to see your stamps. Please post them on social media. Reach out to us if you need help. And I will see you next time.